Welcome to Everyday Martial Artist, a weekly podcast where you'll join me, Brian Doucette, as I interview a different martial artist each episode and hear their story. Some guests you may have heard of, and some you probably haven't. Be sure to subscribe where all your favorite podcasts are available. Also visit our website at everydaymartialartist.com. If you're listening for a specific interview, I sure hope you'll stay and check out the other episodes. A very special thank you to Topher Williams for our custom theme music. And now, the newest episode of Everyday Martial Artist. Everyday Martial Artist is brought to you by KOOnline.com for all your martial arts needs. Sparring and safety gear, rank belts, uniforms, weapons, patches, and more. Wholesale supplies made by martial artists for martial artists. Visit us today at ko-online.com. Hello and welcome to Everyday Martial Artist. I'm your host, Brian Doucette, and as we do every week, we're joined by a brand new guest talking about their life and their journey throughout the world of martial arts and other stuff they're involved in. My guest today is an East Coast Canadian rocker born and raised in Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia, now based out of Edmonton, Alberta. He's got his 5 full-length studio albums and working on his next, which is currently in production. His latest one, Not Careful Enough, was released back in March. He's played all across Canada and numerous spots in the U.S. He's also been training in MMA recreationally for almost 15 years, also consistently with kickboxing and Muay Thai. He's currently training in BJJ on a regular basis and also trains some in modern Arnis and Krav Maga. Please welcome my guest today. Hey, wait a second. This can't be right. Brian Doucette. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, Brian Doucette. How's it going?
Hey, it's doing good. I've always, when I was a kid, my mom always said, quit talking to yourself. But hey, now I get to do it on a microphone. So kind of cool.
We're going to have a really easy time remembering each other's names.
I know. That'll be I won't actually have to look at my notes for this one. And I'll kind of tell the background of the story. I don't know if I actually told you, but I don't even remember what it was, but I was making a comment on some, public post on Facebook. And the guy messaged me, are you that guy who plays rock music in Canada? I'm like, no. So I got curious and started Googling, and I found you and found your Facebook thing. And I made a comment on there. Hey, cool name, good music. And then we started chatting, and I'm like, by any weird chance, do you know martial arts? And by a chance you do. So I'm like, hey, that would be a fun interview. So, hey, why not?
Yeah, for sure. I'm really excited to be on your show. I checked out a couple episodes and stuff, and yeah, man, it's fantastic.
I appreciate that.
I'm really excited to be here.
Cool. Well, like I said, I mentioned obviously the music. We'll get to the music. I definitely want to talk about that and give you a chance to promote that a little bit. But obviously, this is a martial arts podcast, so like I said, we talk with all my guests. We go back to the beginning and we find out kind of how they got started, where that interest started. You said you've been training about 15 years, but I want to know where that spark came from. That first interest in martial arts. Was it first happening 15 years ago? Did you have more interest when you were younger? Kind of walk us through that a little bit.
So I actually started with a good friend of mine who I don't get to talk to near enough. We live on different opposite sides of the country now, but a friend of mine named Lucas McNeil. He was just getting into, and Lucas has been training his whole life, mostly in karate. I believe he's a black belt in karate now, but
nice.
But he had just started doing modern Arnis, and he showed me a couple, just some like basic stick warm-ups and stuff like that. And that's pretty much where it got started. We were doing a lot of modern Arnis in his backyard, and he was just learning that, but he was kind of messing around with some Muay Thai and like some basic drills for kickboxing and stuff like that. He did a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu himself over the years, so he was kind of delving into that a little bit. And so we were both learning modern Arnis as beginners together, but he was throwing in some other stuff. And I mean, he had all the gear, he had all the pads and stuff like that. So he was running through, taught me my stance and like some basic defense and stuff. And it pretty much just kind of stemmed from there. Before I knew it, he had me going to the gym in Fredericton, New Brunswick. We were in the Army together there. And before I knew it, he had me going to twice a week to a kickboxing class and a jiu-jitsu class. We did that for a few years. We did that pretty much until the time I got posted away a few years after that. The military posted me to Winnipeg.
Okay.
So I kind of fell when I moved to Winnipeg. I started doing a Krav Maga class for the time that I was in Winnipeg, and kind of just like sporadically from there. I've been pretty consistent with kickboxing over the years. Like I haven't really taken many long gaps away from kickboxing, but jiu-jitsu has been pretty sporadic. Jiu-jitsu I'll do probably for a couple years at a time. Then I'll take a year or two off and back and forth like that. But yeah, so long story short, it basically started in Fredericton, New Brunswick with my friend Lucas McNeil, and kind of just stemmed from there.
Nice. So that first style, then, that modern Arnis, what are some things that, like, when your friend first approached you and said, hey, I got this thing I want to show you, whatever, what are some first memories you have? Like, what were your thoughts? Like, hey, this is interesting. Had you ever seen anything like it before? Kind of, what was it about modern Arnis that drew you in, to keep doing it with your friend?
I kind of like the concept of it. It's a Filipino eskrima, stick fighting. Like the Cali sticks simulate swords, and I kind of liked. I guess it started, and I may be messing this up, but I guess it started as a form of. It was kind of disguised as a dance. Wasn't really so much a dance though. It was fighters training that were being held captive, and they wanted to be doing this without their captors knowing that they were actually training to fight, kind of thing. And I kind of found that interesting, and I kind of just like, it was a very relaxed vibe that we started off with. Like, again, we were just doing I'm going to screw up the terminology, but basic drills, just to be like to get the movements and stuff. And he taught me the ways to move your feet, like the difference between modern Arnis. It's almost like I kind of describe it as almost like skating in regards to your feet. It's not like you're still light on your feet. You're almost switching from a orthodox to a southpaw stance with it, and that like cutting your angles and that. And yeah, so when I started with modern Arnis and then moved into kickboxing, it was almost like he had to reteach me how to stand and how to shift my weight and how to pivot my hips and twist my feet and stuff. Because with modern Arnis, to me, it reminded me a lot of skating. Like, you're almost kind of going from side to side and pushing off with your right and then shifting your weight into your left. Whereas with kickboxing, I noticed that you were always trying to maintain that for myself anyways, an orthodox stance.
Interesting. Who was that first instructor? Do you remember?
I can't remember his name. No.
Okay.
I pretty much, I was kind of getting like Lucas was seeing like a very experienced instructor, but it was almost like he was getting the info and then taking it to me a little bit, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I get that.
But yeah, we got up to the point where we were, like, I knew my 12 angles, for example, and I knew the disarms for it. And then we had gotten to the point of doing the disarms for the disarms. And that's pretty much when I got shipped away. I got posted to Winnipeg, and yeah, I kind of lost. Now, that being said, though, I still have Cali sticks, and I still will in my living room. Just in the last, like, probably 3 or 4 years, actually, I've kind of gotten back into just some like stuff to like stay loose. Kind of just messed around in my living room if I got nothing better to do, if that makes sense. And I probably do that a couple times a week. Yeah.
I mean, obviously it had that much of an impact if you're still feeling the need to, pick them up and work out with them. I mean, so that's a good thing, because there's some people who leave martial arts and never even give it a second thought again, but it's cool that it made an impact like that.
I definitely like I say, I started with modern Arnis, but like, I go kickboxing at least 4 times a week, usually in the mornings. I go to a spot called 9 Round. I was going to 9 Round Leduc.
Okay, I've heard of it.
Which is great spot, yeah. And now I'm going to 9 Round Manning, and I've been doing that since I moved to Edmonton. I just moved to Edmonton in November 2023. And I've been going pretty consistent, since I've gotten here. I mean, some weeks when I'm on the road, it kind of gets, life gets in the way sometimes. Like, if I'm away on the road, I really don't do a whole lot. Yeah, traveling and stuff like that. It's a little harder to do, and it's not it's not the kind of chain where you can just show up to a different gym and walk in and train. So usually when I'm on the road, I don't really get to do it a whole lot. But if I'm here and grounded in the city, I've been pretty consistent.
Well, I mean, you should consider even just checking out, even maybe there's a local kickboxing school in the city you're going to, and just come up and tell them, say, hey, I'm just looking for a workout. Some of them might say, hey, come on in and give us a shot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I would do that if it weren't, like, usually when I'm on the road, I'm pretty busy while I'm on the road anyways, especially if I'm if I'm touring. I suppose. I'm usually going from one town into the next, and that usually involves at least a 2 or 3 hour drive, sometimes even longer than that. By the time I get there, I'm usually kind of trying to ground myself again for a couple hours before whatever it is I'm doing there, whether it be a show or, usually it's for a show, though.
I get that.
Or a string of shows.
Makes sense. So you mentioned Winnipeg. When you were up there, did you get to do any training when you were in the military?
We didn't do a lot of hand-to-hand combat in the military. We did some pugil fighting, which is I kind of describe it as. Oh, I heard a gasp.
Oh yeah, that's
from
the old TV show American Gladiators. I love the pugil fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
The big Q-tips.
And we did that in my early years. Like I joined the military in 1997.
Okay.
And for the first probably 4 or 5 years when I was in, we would do pugil fighting at least once a year.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to actual hand-to-hand combat, we didn't do a whole lot of it. And I spent most of my career I was a firefighter.
Oh, nice.
So there wasn't really much of a need for, if you're going in and using hand-to-hand combat on a rescue, it's kind of counterproductive. But
okay,
we've done a lot of medical calls, and I have seen us go to some domestic disputes.
Oh.
But usually we kind of hang back and let the police do their thing. And I've treated people that were in handcuffs before a couple times, actually.
Okay.
But again, I was never actually the person having to do the handcuffing. That's usually something we leave to the police. I've seen us kind of hang back and sit in the truck or stand by the truck and wait for whatever. I worked with different branches of police. Like I worked with the MPs, I worked with municipal police, I've worked with the RCMP, and usually for us it's a kind of hang back and let them do their thing, and we come in after that is taken care of.
Okay.
So
and you mentioned the pugil stick fighting. If you you said you listened to a few episodes, if you go onto my website and search American Gladiators, I've actually had 4 of the original American Gladiators from the early 90s on my show.
Cool.
You can hear me interview
awesome.
Like Nitro and Malibu and Saber and Dallas. And
so they're bringing it back, eh?
I just saw that 2 days ago. I hope it's good, but so far I haven't heard anything that they're going to use any of the original cast members. I mean, I wish they'd bring back Nitro as the host instead of this WWE guy personally, but
the Miz. I actually I wouldn't call it a guilty confession. I've loved the WWE my whole life. I was excited. I was actually excited when I seen that the Miz was hosting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, and I've never been a wrestling fan. Like when I watched the original in the 90s when they remade it in 2008. I've always been I like Hulk Hogan, but he was not a good host for that show. He really wasn't.
No. And it turns out, like, with the internet and stuff like that, like we didn't know it at the time, but he wasn't all that great of a person.
No. Yep. No, I had I can probably safely say former listener of the show, because I had a listener of the show that was a huge Hulk Hogan fan, and I made that comment I think when I was interviewing Nitro that, Hulk, I said it, great guy, just not a good TV host. And this former listener sent me this nasty thing and started leaving me bad reviews because I dissed Hulk Hogan. I'm like, okay.
Oh my God.
I know. I'm like, dude, get over it.
I know. Hey,
I said he was a nice guy. He just wasn't a good TV host. And if you think he was, then you don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess he was. The stuff kind of comes out nowadays, but I mean, back in like the 80s and 90s, they were really pushing hard to convince us that it was real, and not that it's not real. I mean, those guys they're tough as nails to do the stuff that they do. And I mean, now that it's kind of weird too to see that the UFC and the WWE are all under the same branch now, and you see a little bit more of like a mutual respect between the two. And you're always seeing UFC fighters in the stands for like the WWE events, and you see the WWE guys for years now. I mean, we've been seeing the WWE guys showing up to, especially like Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is such an anomaly.
Yeah.
To have done both and to have been successful at both. And it was funny when he first started in the UFC, you would always see like the Undertaker, for example, was always in the UFC crowds and there to cheer them on. And people were like, I think that was kind of the end of kayfabe, was seeing the Undertaker in jeans and a collared shirt and sunglasses on, the dead man, and being a human being at these UFC fights and watching Brock Lesnar and CM Punk. However, CM Punk didn't do so well with the crossover, but
and then I literally just saw the preview. I didn't even know this was coming out for a new movie coming out starring The Rock, and he's actually playing Mark Kerr.
Oh yeah, it looks good too.
Yeah, it actually does look good.
The makeup job he's got.
Yeah, very good makeup job.
Yeah,
I knew nothing about that, and I'm like, this actually looks good. So I'll probably watch it, and who knows? Maybe I'll get The Rock on my podcast talking about it.
Yeah. I've seen videos too where The Rock, because he had to learn MMA
Yeah.
in order to do this movie, and he had to train. He had to do a lot of training to be able to, because I mean, you're not going into an octagon and pulling off a rock bottom.
No. No.
So he had to learn MMA, and I was watching a couple videos of him training and stuff. And I mean, The Rock is, I mean, he's a natural athlete too.
Yes.
Like The Rock started in football before he moved into the WWE, and I'm willing to bet like he's in great shape. I mean, there's no doubt that The Rock, especially at 50, like he's got to be in his 50s now. And
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and but I was watching a couple of videos of him like on the ground and doing some groundwork and stuff like that, and some striking stuff. And I wouldn't want to fight WWE version of The Rock, let alone MMA version of The Rock. So
definitely. Well, I mean, hopefully it's a good one, and brings more people to the sport. And I get, I'm sure the diehards will definitely love it, because I mean, I started watching UFC with UFC #1, so I mean, it's not as big of a fan as I used to. I don't know when the last time was I watched a whole event, but back then I never missed them. I mean, everyone from our martial arts school, we'd get together and get the pay-per-views and order pizzas and always watching them. So
right. Yeah,
the good old days.
I remember me and a group of friends that I grew up with, the Caledonia boys. We used to do that when there was a UFC. We would get together and throw in whatever it was, like say $15, $20 each. That would get us the pay-per-view, and then we would split and get pizza and beers and stuff like that. And that was in the Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell years.
Yep.
And Silva. I mean, Anderson Silva was just, at the time, just completely, it was almost unimaginable that anybody was going to ever beat him. And of course, we were GSP fans. Like GSP is kind of our, like, I mean, in regards to MMA, GSP is our Wayne Gretzky.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were big at anything GSP was involved in, anything Anderson Silva was involved in. We would, those were definites. We were definitely getting that UFC, and then kind of fell off at the past few years, but I don't follow it as much as I did when I was younger, but I can still sit and watch. Like I love watching MMA. Like I could definitely still, especially I haven't been to an MMA event live in a few years, but
me either.
Whenever I did go, I always enjoyed it. Me and Lucas, the guy I was talking about, started training with him. We went to a few, never UFC. We always went to the
local ones, the regional ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the local ones. But I mean, we're talking like even these local events, we're talking anywhere between 1,500 to 5,000 people.
Yep.
They weren't small events, but they weren't, 20,000 people at Madison Square Garden events either, if that makes sense.
I think the smallest local one, because I used to judge MMA, and the smallest local one I attended was probably 150 people, and the biggest one was 5,000 to 6,000. So, everywhere in between. But I remember the first one I ever judged back in like 2001 or 2002. Actually, if I remember, from Winnipeg, Krzysztof Szosinski. You've heard that name?
I'm not sure.
But he was like in the IFL back in the day, and he was in that movie Here Comes the Boom. He played one of the bad guy MMA guy, UFC guys and stuff. But he was one of the first fights I ever judged was his. So
nice, man.
When he was just making a name for himself.
Too.
I love that movie. Yeah.
Me too.
I've tried to get a few of those guys on too, no luck yet, but I'm keep trying. So
speaking of which, me and a friend of mine were not laughing, like I thought it was really cool because that movie with The Rock coming up, Bas Rutten is in it.
Yeah, I saw that.
I seen a small clip. Bas Rutten is, I don't know if he's in the whole movie or how much of a starring role he has, but oh man, I love Bas Rutten. I remember seeing I guess they'd be considered older videos now, but he was teaching self-defense techniques, and he had a few YouTube videos on.
Nice.
Take his head, kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. I was like, man, I love this guy, man. Like,
I've had a request to get him on the show for about 2 years, and I got to follow up again because he'd be fun to talk to. He just seems like he's funny and just down to earth. So I think he'd be fun to talk to.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a bit of a correlation to it. It kind of brings me to, I mean, it might be kind of switching gears a little bit, but there is actually a bit of a correlation between, I don't know if you're familiar. Do you know who Duff McKagan is? Duff McKagan was the bass player, or is the bass player for Guns N' Roses.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And when he was getting sober, he actually used martial arts to get himself sober and to get himself straightened out. He's still, I mean, by now, and we're talking, Duff McKagan's been sober for probably 20 years.
Wow.
So by now, Duff McKagan is probably like quite the killing machine.
Nice.
He's been doing, but he actually trained MMA to He's in great shape. Like you look at him
Mm-hmm.
now as opposed to what he looked like in the 80s. In the late 80s on the Sunset Strip, I don't think they were training MMA. They were training other things. But Duff McKagan actually used martial arts to get himself sober and get himself straightened out. And he still does it. Yeah, I mean, Guns N' Roses, and they're pretty much why I do music. I'm a huge Slash fan, and yeah, so I've kind of followed the history of the whole band, really. And he tried to when they were forming Velvet Revolver, they had to get Scott Weiland. Scott Weiland was the lead singer, Stone Temple Pilots, passed away a few years ago. Very sad story, actually. But when he was trying to get himself sober, Duff kind of took him under his wing and used martial arts to train him and to get him sober. But demons got the better of him a couple of years ago anyways. He ended up passing away. He was singing with I think he was singing with Stone Temple Pilots, and yeah, got back into his old habits and stuff. But
I know Robert Downey Jr., same thing. That's why he got into Kung Fu. So, because I was lucky enough to interview his instructor, and he kind of told me that story. And he was leery when he first came in. He's like, I didn't know if he'd take it seriously. And now he's like, 25 years later, he's still going. So,
oh wow, good for him. Yeah, because he was, Robert Downey Jr. was on quite a bad path.
Yep.
At one point there, and did some time in prison even.
And he credits martial arts completely, so that's good.
Wicked.
Yeah.
It's such a good, that's kind of, for anybody that doesn't do it, it would be one of the first things that I would recommend for it's great for mental health is what I'm getting at.
100%.
Such a good release and currently I'm doing BJJ at a spot called SBG.
Okay.
And it's actually only about 4 minutes up the road.
Nice.
And I think something that I remember when I first started going to fighting gyms and going to training and that. I think I was a little intimidated, or I think I was a little worried. I don't know. And it sounds silly just saying it now, but I think I was a little worried that I was going to be bullied going into it. And I'd be going in with these guys that have been fighting their whole lives and that they would just be using me as practice and I was going to get hurt. But for anybody that doesn't do it, I found it really cool how when I first started going that nobody was like that. Everybody was kind of putting the best foot forward to try to teach and try to help and to try to coach. Everybody almost wants to be a coach, and how much of a welcoming environment that it actually is. And I've never gone to, and I've been to a bunch of different gyms and stuff, and I've never gone to a gym where it wasn't that. You know what I mean? I've never gone to a spot that was I've never been bullied in one of these gyms in my life. And the thing I like about SBG is that, I mean, there's you've got your black belts that are walking around and your purple and brown belts and that, but everybody is more concerned about teaching and helping you than they are using you as practice. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, I know. And I know what you're talking about. I unfortunately have been to one or two bad schools, but 99.9% of them are all good. And that's, like I said, that's when when you get that good of a feeling, you're at a good school. Oh yeah, for sure. It's a very comforting, I was made to be very comfortable there very early on. And even when I was, and I mean, not that I'm not that I'm a pro at anything now or anything like that, but at least I know my way around gyms when I go to them. Yeah. And the protocol
a lot of cases,
and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. And I find in a lot of cases, I haven't been going to SBG for very long, probably about 2 months now, but there's a lot of people there that are kind of on my level and at the same level of training that I'm at. So it's a little less intimidating to be in that kind of environment where not everybody around you is going to the UFC. Not everybody around you is going and fighting amateur fights or anything like that. And a lot of people are there for the exact same reasons that I'm there for, just to kind of something fun to do. So it's a really fun way to stay in shape. Yeah. And a lot of people got that same mindset, which I find really comforting and relaxing. It puts me at ease going to these spots. So. Well, if you ever tour as far as Minnesota, you'll have to hit me up and I'll point you to a couple of good schools you can check out maybe while you're here. Yeah, no, that would be great. And, yeah, for sure. I've played quite a bit down in the States too. And Minnesota is, so when I was in Winnipeg, Minnesota was because as soon as you cross the Manitoba border, you're pretty much in Minneapolis. So a lot of people in Winnipeg have been to Minnesota. When they cross the border, that's kind of where they go. It's literally about 3.5 hours straight up the road for me, straight up I-29. Yeah. I live in Edmonton now, so Oh, nice. Winnipeg is such an awesome city, man.
Yeah. So
I love
Edmonton,
Winnipeg.
that's the one with the huge mall with like the indoor lake, right?
It is, yeah, the
Okay.
West End Mall, yeah.
It's like the only thing I know about Edmonton. and the Oilers, but I'm not really a hockey
And the
fan.
Oilers.
So.
Oh,
Although I used to have a Wayne Gretzky rookie card, so
oh, nice.
I sold it, but I used to have one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I sold it about a year ago.
The Oilers are playing tonight. They're 2 years in a row. They're in their second. Last year they went right to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals and then lost to Florida. But I mean, we're proud of them. I'm actually a Detroit Red Wings fan.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
Since I was small, yeah. When I was younger, I kind of like jumped teams a little bit until I found. Well, I remember one day I was a Calgary Flames fan for a long time when I was a kid, and I kind of noticed myself cheering more heavily for the Red Wings because I was a Steve Yzerman fan since I was like 5 years old. But
okay.
And then one day I was like, I think I'm a Red Wings fan, and I still love the Flames. Flames would be definitely in my top 5 teams, but here in Edmonton, it's just, I mean, the Red Wings didn't make the playoffs this year, so same as last year, I kind of just jumped on the Oilers bandwagon because I'm in Edmonton and I love the Oilers. You know, it's I kind of get that jumping on the bandwagon. There's only really one team that I would jump for, and that's the city where I remember when I was living in Winnipeg. It was the first year that they had the Winnipeg Jets back. Okay. So when the Oilers when the Red Wings were eliminated, or the Winnipeg Jets were my second favorite team that year while I was living in Winnipeg because, you know, when in Rome.
Yeah. Yep.
And I kind of got that going on with the Oilers now. So I'm a temporary huge Oilers fan right now because they're pretty much all I've got to go for. But we're starting the third round tonight. Notice how I'm saying like I'm proud of the team. But
you got to do that.
But we're starting the third round tonight. We're playing the Dallas Stars. Go Oil Town. And
Dallas Stars, who used to be the Minnesota North Stars back in when I was younger. So
yeah, before the Minnesota got a team back, and that was I remember the Minnesota North Stars, and I remember them playing the Penguins in the finals, and at the time I was cheering pretty hard for the North Stars, and Penguins were just unbeatable that year. I mean, they had Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr on the same team, and now I'm a little bit of I have a bit of so the Penguins now have Sidney Crosby.
Okay. Yep. I've heard of him.
On their team. Sidney Crosby's from Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. I used to work, and it wasn't Cole Harbour. It was the base in Eastern Passage, which is like you could throw a rock at Cole Harbour from where I used to work. So I got a bit of Sidney Crosby would be my favorite player right now, just because he's a Nova Scotia boy. And
I'll have to do some research and see how many like NHL players I can find that have martial arts backgrounds. So I found one of my former guests. I can't remember the name. I'd have to look it up. One of my former guests actually taught a former. He's like in the NHL Hall of Fame now, so he's retired and stuff like that. But he taught him when he was like 10 years old. He didn't stick with it, so obviously probably wouldn't be a good guest because he only did martial arts for like 6 months, I think. So,
okay.
But yeah, because I know I've reached out to, I've had NFL football players on the show and stuff, and I know there's like NBA basketball players that have done martial arts, and so I'll have to. I don't think I've ever researched hockey players, so I'll have to do some research and see if I can find a few. That'd be fun to talk to.
I'm sure, and I guarantee you will. Yeah, it's such a great way to stay in shape, especially in so many different kind of ways. Like you're building muscle, cardio, mental health. Man, it's such a great, well-rounded form of exercise that like I would recommend it. I try to get, I'm 44 years old.
Okay.
And it wasn't all that long ago. I was, a friend of mine asked me about, because I mean, when I was in the military, I lifted weights and, I was a pretty good runner. I could run long distances in short times and stuff. And now that I'm 44, bench pressing 250 pounds for me is just, it's not good for my joints and stuff anymore. Right. So but a friend of mine was asking me about gyms. It was only a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, why don't you try giving try a kickboxing class or a jiu-jitsu class? And I gave him a couple of names of the spots down in Cape Breton and Sydney, Nova Scotia there to check out. And that he's like, I feel like I'm too old to start it. And I'm like, that right there.
Never.
No, never. You were definitely not. Nobody's going to go. You're not going to walk in there and have somebody just drop you to the ground and throw you in an armbar or anything like that. Everybody is going to want to help you. Everybody is going to want to coach you, and they're not going to try to just go at your own pace. It's only going to get easier the more you do it.
Agreed.
So I don't know if I've completely sold them on it yet, but
you can tell them my mom joined martial arts in her 40s and got her black belt.
Oh, nice, man.
So
that's a
tell
cool
them
story.
you're never too old. So
No. No, for anything really. I felt like I did 23 years in the military, and then when I got out, I was I don't know, it really blew my mind and caught me off guard because when you're in the military, everything, all of your surroundings is kind of always military. Like when you get off work, you go hang out with your military friends. Your dentist is military, your doctors are military. Not all, but most of your banking is military. And I remember when I got out, I mean, it was a very terrifying experience I really misjudged how big the world is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And especially going into the music scene. And when I got into the music scene, and I mean, I'm one of very few veterans in the music scene, and I had to kind of drop some of the jargon that I was used to use, and the way that I argued with people had to change, it was quite a reality check to figure out how big the world is. And I thought I was, it's funny, I thought I was in the music scene when I was in the military, and no, I definitely wasn't. It was quite a culture shock. Wow, there's a really big world outside of the Canadian Armed Forces.
Cool. So you mentioned now, with BJJ, that you'll go for a couple years and take some time off and stuff, and you're currently going again. During any of that time, did you ever try a BJJ competition? Did they ever talk you into that?
No, but I have. So the spot that I'm at now, they start you off you're on a bit of a probation period.
Okay.
Which lasts about 3 months before you can start sparring and rolling around and that. But now I have done sparring and stuff before, and I've done it with people that are kind of above me, and people I actually got myself to the point where I was a little above other people that were there, with newer people that were showing up and stuff. And so I've done sparring before, especially when I was in Fredericton.
Okay. A
lot of the class that I did in Fredericton with a guy named Andy Young, who's incredible. He was, I think most of his background is a kickboxing background, but I mean, he's won national championships and stuff. And he's got lots of trophies and belts and stuff on his wall and that. And so when I was doing jiu-jitsu at his gym, with Lucas, we would do basically the way that we would run it. We would do a class of about 15, 20 minutes, and then he would just set the buzzer for every 3 minutes. You would just roll around and switch partners kind of thing. So I did a lot of sparring there and that. And, but yeah, I've never done any kind of competition or gotten into. I've done Muay Thai sparring at a spot called 374 Fitness in Halifax.
Okay.
I was there for a couple of years, and it was just, you're going about maybe 20, 30%. And these guys were training like a lot of them had amateur fights coming up. So that was really cool. I mean, I was getting my butt kicked, but I mean, at the same time, it was, that's the best way to learn, right? And so I've done a lot of sparring over the years, but never an actual competition. I've had the urge to try it out and to try to do say 6 months to a year training and try it an amateur fight. But
yeah,
I try to keep busy in music, so that kind of takes away from it. But maybe someday. My brother James actually has 2 amateur fights.
Nice.
Under his belt.
That's
James
cool.
Doucette, and James was always the tougher of the two between us. James was a machine growing up, and he's got 2 amateur fights. He didn't win, but he didn't start this till he was in his 40s, and he looked really good doing it. He didn't win either fight, but he did look really good in the ring. He looked really, really checked out. He looked like he'd been doing it for a while, even though, like I say, I think he was 39 when he had his first fight.
Wow.
And it went the distance. It went right to 3 rounds, and it went, both fights. The second fight didn't go. I think he made it deep into the second round, and he got tapped out. But both were really great fights. He looked really good doing it.
That's kind of cool. Nice. Good for him. So do you, over your 15 years in the martial arts, is there any philosophies that you've learned or picked up that are super important to you, maybe at the top of your list?
So I don't know if I would classify it as a philosophy, but I do like the fact a lot of the guys that I've trained with, you would never know. How do I say it? They're not tough guys on the street. if that makes sense. And I kind of like I don't, other than the people that kind of know me and stuff. Not that I won't give shout outs to the gyms I go to. Like I'll give the odd shout out to like 9 Round, for example. Like I'll give a shout out because it's kind of like a cross promotion thing, right? Like I'll try to like give them a shout out on my social medias and stuff like that and see if I can draw some people in for them.
Cool.
And I do that to the gyms I go to kind of thing. But I love that somebody that's a tough guy. Tough people don't talk tough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that? Like,
yep.
9 times out of 10, a bully doesn't actually know how to fight. Like the guys that I've seen that have been doing it for a while and like black belts and stuff, they're not out on the streets starting fights. They don't even portray themselves as tough guys.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of, I like that. I like if I hear somebody, because I mean, I'm sure you've seen it, not necessarily in the MMA world, but just out in life or whatnot. Tough guys don't talk tough. And I love that. Anyone that I hear, if I hear somebody talking tough, I kind of in my head just assume that they're not actually tough or that they don't have a clue. They probably don't know how to fight. Is that along the lines of?
No, I'd say that makes sense. I get that. And that's one thing, kind of some of the toughest martial artists I know, like the guys I would never, ever, ever mess with are the ones who you would not know they're martial artists when you meet them.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And I love that. Like even like guys like, I mean, GSP, like I've seen tons of like GSP interviews and stuff like that. And he doesn't come off as an a-hole.
Yeah.
Like I see a lot of the guys are now, I mean, then you've got guys like Chael Sonnen or like Conor McGregor. And
yeah.
they're on the other end of the spectrum of things, but like,
yep, that is true. So how about worst martial arts related injury? Have you been injured in any of your trainings over the 15 years?
Brian, you're going to jinx me here, man. So I think one of the worst, I was in Fredericton and I was rolling with, he turned out to be a junior guy. I kind of feel like he was kind of trying to portray himself as a little bit more senior than what he was. And I remember he had me in a guillotine and I tapped and then I tapped again. And I'd actually won the first, I was after tapping him out probably 2 or 3 times. And he wasn't very thick, but he was tall. He was probably good 6'2". And I mean, I'm only 5'8", 5'9"-ish, but he's probably about 6'2". And I had tapped him out a couple times. And then he got me in a guillotine and whatever. I'm a good sport. And I remember I ended up tapping like 3 or 4 times before he finally let me go. And he wrenched my neck. I could hear my neck almost he wrenched it pretty bad, actually. Like for a few days, I was doing turning my whole body to look to the left or right. And when I got up, I got after him for it anyways. And I used a lot of language that I won't use here on your podcast, of course. But I remember getting up and I remember losing it on him. And I remember Andy, I was still going to Andy Young's gym. And I remember him saying, coming over to kind of try to break it up and okay, everybody calm down and get me the F away from this guy. I'm not touching this guy anymore. And yeah, no, he doesn't come here often and he's kind of learning. And I got that kind of a talk about him anyways. And
okay.
No, honestly, I've never had and I mean, and again, I've only trained and I've only done it recreational. So whenever I've gotten, strapped into an armbar or whatnot, as soon as I've tapped, it's been let go of. And I've been very fortunate in that. Like doing warm-ups for BJJ and stuff. Actually, you know what? I'm going to contradict that. When I was doing, we were doing warm-ups and we were doing front rolls just a couple weeks ago. And my first front roll was a little bit cocky. And I think I went into the roll a little bit early. Like I might have been still a foot or 2 off the ground before I touched my hand down. And I remember kind of landing a little bit hard on my shoulder and being a little weary of it. But nothing ever bad. I've never had an arm dislocated or never had my elbow snapped the wrong way from an armbar or anything like that. So I've been pretty lucky so far.
It's funny I'm
knocking on wood as we speak.
Yeah. Well, when I first started asking that question, it's the first few people I asked, I had some gruesome ones, but it's more of the people I've asked have not. Like me, my worst one is maybe a sprained ankle or a fractured knuckle. That's about it. My worst injury has nothing to do with martial arts. But I've had a few. Like I said, I get some bad ones every now and then. But the majority of people now are no, I don't. So
yeah,
it's kind of good. I guess that's a good thing. Nice.
Now, when I was younger, I got into and it's not a mixed martial arts story. It's more like a fight that I deserved a punch in the head. But I've hurt my hands. I have hurt my right hand punching when I was younger, but now I really I have to be careful with it because like, for example, if I break either one of my hands,
I suppose, guitar.
Then it definitely makes it'd definitely make the guitar a lot more difficult. I've actually seen guys though. I've seen people play with my left hand, with my cording hand. That I have to be extremely careful of. If my cording hand gets broken and I can't make chords, then no better word to use for it. I'm pretty useless.
Yeah.
But with my right hand, I've seen people break their right hand. Guitar players, like I've seen people play guitar with casts.
Wow.
On their strumming hand. And depending on what part of the hand is broken, they would just have, say, their middle ring and pinky finger. If it's down on their end, if they've got their index finger and their thumb still usable, then they can still hold a pick and they can play with a cast on, right? But at the same time, it's nothing that I want to test out either. So.
Exactly. No, I get that. I'm
going to keep wrapping my hands and,
Nice. You talked a little bit about, possibly sometime down the road, maybe doing like an amateur fight. So let's say you decided to do that. What's your walk-up music going to be as you're taking that walk into the cage?
Ooh,
you're going to use one of your own songs or you're going to use something else?
I probably would actually, just for that little bit of arrogant self-promotion, I guess. But I'll tell you,
I think.
One of my favorite, when Forrest Griffin used to come down to the Dropkick Murphys.
Yep.
And he used to use Shipping Off to Boston. And that's good pump-up music. Another one, I've actually got a few.
Okay.
Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses, that initial build. And there's a song by Korn called Here to Stay.
Okay.
I've always heard that and thought my apologies, I keep slipping into WWE, but I love that initial punch. And what I mean by that initial, like when you first hear, I would love to have something that when you first hear it, as soon as it starts, it's on. You know what I mean? Like something definitely. that kicks in, something that's got like a bit of a punch. And as soon as the crowd hears it, they know, okay, it's time to react. Like, crap's about to hit the fan, kind of thing. And like with Forrest Griffin coming into the Shipping Off to Boston, like it starts off with that, and even with the cool thing about that with Forrest Griffin, as soon as you hear that, even if you didn't know it was Forrest Griffin coming out, you knew as soon as you heard that first, within 3 seconds, you knew it was Forrest Griffin about to walk out.
That's cool.
Yeah, it became kind of like signature with him, right?
Yep. No, I get that.
And Forrest Griffin was a beast anyways. Like, yeah, I seen a couple fights. I was waiting for them to go and grab their truck to run him over. Like, he was one tough son of a gun. So,
so if you were going to use one of your songs, which one would you use, do you think?
Light It Up.
Okay. Yeah, I've listened to that one.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, I would probably use Light It Up. Yeah, it's got that initial punch, that initial, almost like a bit of a shock value kind of thing or whatnot. So, yeah, I would use Light It Up if I were to use one of my own.
Okay. All right. These last few questions, hopefully you'll have an answer for most of them, but it kind of depends because, you're not as diehard as a lot of my guests. But who are 3, 4, 5 names you'd put on your personal Mount Rushmore of martial arts?
Anderson Silva.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, we're not just talking UFC, we're talking like broad.
Any martial arts. And people pick Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, Muhammad Ali, and everyone in between.
I'm going to hold off on Bruce Lee for a second, though.
Okay.
I might come back to him, but so Anderson Silva and GSP.
Okay.
I would put right in there. Roy Jones Jr. Can I pick a boxer?
Definitely. Yeah. Muhammad Ali's been picked many times, so.
Roy Jones Jr., Anderson Silva, GSP, and actually, you know what? I am going to put Bruce Lee in there. I enjoy watching some of Bruce Lee's interviews and how I love the philosophy of fighting. Be like water.
Yeah.
I liked his reasoning as to why he didn't compete, because he loves fighting. He loves the art of fighting, and without groin shots, there is no competition. And so, yeah, that would be my Mount Rushmore. And
good.
Roy Jones Jr. is one of those guys too that, like, at one point it just seemed like he was never ever going to be beat. Like, he even went up to the heavyweight division to fight, and he was still winning. And so if I had to pick 4, if I were to add in a 5th, man, Muhammad Ali. No, wait a second. No, I'm going to put Mike Tyson in there.
Nice,
because he's another one of those guys. I mean, until he got rich and famous, Mike Tyson was just never, ever going to be beat. Yeah. But then he discovered fame and women and drugs. And, God love him, though. I mean, he's still I won't get into that fight that he just had there. But, I mean, God love him. He's still training. He's still in great shape. And yeah, no, I'm a big Mike Tyson fan. I would put Mike Tyson on my Mount Rushmore for sure.
I still wouldn't want to get hit by him, so care how old he is.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
Nice. All right. Do you have a favorite martial arts book?
No.
Okay.
No, I do not.
No worries. How about a favorite martial arts video game?
Ooh, Mortal Kombat.
Nice. That one's probably picked the most. That's Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter are probably two of the most picked ones. So
yeah, I liked, and I did like Street Fighter.
I like Tekken myself, but yeah, I like them all.
Tekken, oh yeah. So we used to play in my younger years. We used to hang out at a pizza shop. It was Sonny's Pizza.
Nice.
And there was a Tekken arcade game there, and we used to battle at it anyways. And we figured out a way. And we're talking like mid to late 90s here, and we figured out a way that if you punch the machine right, you would get free credits on it. So,
awesome.
We used to get free games. We would just battle in Tekken. There'd be like 15 or 20 of us, and we would do the trash talking as if it was us actually on the screen fighting and that. And,
that's cool.
yeah.
Okay. How about a favorite martial arts TV show?
Ooh.
Current one or one from your childhood or?
I'm drawing a blank right now. Yeah, I'm drawing a bit of a blank right now in the TV shows.
You go back as far as like the 70s. A lot of people pick Kung Fu. In the 80s, people pick The Master.
With, yeah, and I used to watch
Sidekicks, Street Justice, Walker, Texas Ranger, Highlander, Into the Badlands, Cobra Kai.
Let's go with Walker, Texas Ranger. You know what? Admittedly, I don't know if I'm as much of a Chuck Norris fan or if I'm just a fan of all the jokes. Because I used to when they first started, but I did enjoy the show Walker, Texas Ranger though, so I will stick with the answer. But when those jokes started coming out, oh my God, there were just so many good ones, and but I'm gonna go Walker, Texas Rangers just to send a shout out to Chuck Norris, anyways.
There was actually a couple in the early '90s that, if I remember correctly, were actually filmed in Canada. The show Street Justice with Carl Weathers, who played Apollo Creed in the Rocky movies. And a gentleman named Brian Genesee. It took place in, I think, New York, but it was, I'm pretty sure it was filmed in Canada. And then there was also the Kung Fu The Legend Continues, the sequel series.
Yeah, David Carradine.
Yeah, I believe that was filmed in Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. So
I remember hearing that, yeah. That was a good show, too, actually. I
actually enjoyed it. One of my guests from my first year, Sean Kanan, who was Mike Barnes in The Karate Kid.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
He actually auditioned for the role of the son.
That's cool.
Or grandson or whatever it was. But yeah, he said he auditioned for that, and the other guy got it. But
speaking of The Karate Kid, I really enjoyed Cobra Kai.
I love Cobra Kai.
Every time a batch of new episodes would come out, I would have them done before the end of the calendar day, actually.
Me too.
Yeah, getting right into it. And I loved the movies. I really enjoyed the remake that they did with Will Smith's young fella in it.
I did not.
No?
I'm too much of a fan of the original. First of all, they called up their Karate Kid and they're doing Kung Fu and they're in China. It's not the Karate Kid.
Very true.
And I love Jackie Chan. It just was. That's why I'm the new one coming out in a couple weeks. I'm on the fan. I'll go to it. I'll watch it, but I'm holding out hope that I'm going to like it, because I did not like I thought Jaden Smith, Will Smith. I think they ruined that movie, man.
Well, yeah. So the new one, I'm a little, the only thing I'll have to watch it before I kind of because I noticed that Jackie Chan is in the new one, but it kind of messes up the story.
Well, so they changed
two different universes.
That's the thing. Because originally when it came out, it was a remake, and now they're saying, nope, it takes place in the same universe. It wasn't a remake. So they changed the whole thing behind it so they could connect them and do this new movie. And I'm like,
and it makes me wonder what Jackie Chan's role, because it can't be Mr. Miyagi. Obviously.
Well, no, I mean, he wasn't. He was Mr. Han or Mr. Han in the remake.
Oh, was he? I never caught that. See, I just assumed he was Mr. Miyagi in it.
Yeah, no, he was Mr. Han or Master Han or Han, whatever it was, HAN.
And now that you say it, yes, I remember that now. Yeah, so as long as Mr. Miyagi still passed away.
No, it sounds like from what I've seen in the trailers and what I've read, he knew Mr. Miyagi. And he has this student that he wants to train. He's been training in Kung Fu, but he wants to cross-train in karate, so he seeks Miyagi's #1 student to help train him. That's kind of what I got from it.
Okay.
So, and it sounds like only Daniel's in it. No one else from Cobra Kai. It sounds like it's just Daniel, so.
Ah, okay.
We'll see.
See, I would have liked to have seen Johnny Lawrence in there, though. But
I'm still hoping for from the Cobra Kai people. I'm hoping for a Miyagi prequel.
Yeah,
I want to see like a teenager and a 20-year-old Mr. Miyagi and stuff. And when he first starts learning from his dad and everything, I think could be cool.
For sure. And I mean, Mr. Miyagi was, he was an older fella in the first one. So, I mean, they've got lots of space to do something cool with it. Like they've got pretty much the first 50 years of his life.
Yeah.
If they wanted to, right? So, that would be very cool, actually. Yeah. And get someone like Jet Li or someone to play him or.
I mean, they'd have to get someone pretty young. It would almost have to be an unknown, I think.
Yeah, true enough.
If they're going to go like teenage Mr. Miyagi, it would almost have to be an unknown. So. I think they need to start really young as like a 10-year-old, even like a little kid up to like teenager, because then if it does well, they can do a couple more that lead up to the Karate Kid, and they could do three, four Mr. Miyagi movies.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that would be a good idea. We might be onto something here, bro.
I know. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Nice.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. How about a favorite martial arts movie?
Ooh, wow. Well, I would almost immediately want to go to the Karate Kid, but I'm going to pick something different just for your listeners' interest here. But that is a good question. Now the Mortal Kombat. There's two different Mortal Kombat movies. There's a newer one, and then I don't know if you remember. Remember the one that came out like the mid-90s?
Oh yeah, I've had a few people from that movie on my show.
Oh wow, yeah, that's so cool. That was excellent. I really enjoyed that one. Anything Chuck Norris, anything Bruce Lee, nice. Obviously. Jean-Claude Van Damme. I really, you know what? I seen that. There was a more recent movie of Jean-Claude Van Damme that came out, and it was called JVCD.
Oh, he played himself.
Yeah, and he turned out to be, I mean, like he's probably a tough dude, but he didn't play a tough dude in this movie, and everyone was expecting him to be the hero and all that. Like Universal Soldier was an excellent movie.
Love that one.
If I had to pick one, I would have to go back into actually Bloodsport.
Ooh, nice.
Bloodsport movies were awesome. Yeah, so if I had to pick one, I'm on the fence between Karate Kid and Bloodsport. Nice. Yeah, I'm going to call it a tie. The first ones, of course.
Yeah.
The sequels were cool and stuff, but I always go with the original.
My listeners never get sick of it because I always pick Karate Kid because that's the movie that got me into martial arts. So, so that one's always my pick. But yeah, Van Damme, I love Bloodsport, but I like was it Hard Target? I think is probably my favorite one. Is.
Oh, that's a good one too.
That's a really good one.
Steven Seagal had a bunch of good ones too.
Hard to Kill, I think, was Steven Seagal. That one, and Above the Law, and then Under Siege, I think, were probably my three favorite of his. So. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, he had one that was like a little more recent.
He's had a few.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of slipped into the more direct to DVD movies.
Oh yeah,
in the more recent years.
Direct to streaming now, pretty much. Yeah,
yeah,
but not the good direct to streaming.
Yeah, what's a DVD, right? Yeah.
I still buy them when I can. So.
Oh,
that's cool.
That's like it's weird now. Like we're in. It was a couple years ago. I just finished my second album, and this would have been 2018. I just finished my second album, and I was driving the vehicle that I had was relatively new, but not new enough. Probably about 5 or 6 months old. So anyways, I get the master from my second CD, and I get into my SUV, and I'm pumped to listen to it, and I'm looking all over the place. Keep in mind, I've owned this SUV for a few months at this point, and I'm looking all over the place for the CD player, and I could not find it. I checked in the glove compartment. I checked in like under the armrest, and I'm like, anyways, I had owned my vehicle for probably about 4 to 6 months before I came to the realization that it didn't have a CD player in it.
That's not good.
I was like, what? Yeah, exactly. And I got home, and I had to use my laptop to listen to it for the first time. But now, like even the laptop that I'm talking to you on doesn't have a CD. I would not be able to play a CD or a DVD in my home anymore.
Oh, wow. I have an external one on my computer just because we'll chat about it later, but I have a completely other podcast that's music-based that has nothing to do with martial arts, and I still have groups that send me CDs.
And I still get them made. Like when I do a new album, I'll still have them made, and people will still buy them at my shows and stuff. I feel like they're buying them for a combination of to support, to hang on their wall, and to have I'll sign it and get a picture and stuff like that. But I feel like they're not buying the CD to take it home and listen to anymore. I feel like they're buying it as it's like the same as buying a t-shirt kind of thing. They'll buy it just to have it, or just to support an artist kind of thing, right?
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. I mean, I still listen to mine, but I think I'm one of the rare ones. I own over 4,000 CDs still, so.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah. I still listen, but all right, final martial arts question. Now, doesn't have to be a martial arts movie, but any movie you've seen in your whole life, favorite movie fight scene?
Ooh. So I'm going to go with, I could list off 1,000, but I'm going to go with Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris.
In the Coliseum. I think you're the third guest that's picked that in the last month. I love it.
Oh, yeah? Just because it's Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris.
Yeah, it's iconic.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And when Chuck Norris rips out the big chunk of his chest hair there.
Yeah.
Or Bruce Lee, sorry, yeah. Like.
No, it is good. It's a classic one. I love watching it, so I like it. Well, before I let you go, we definitely got to, as I said, I mentioned the music. We've talked a little bit about it, but kind of just give the people a little background on, where can they find you? Where can they hear you? And, kind of what style of music and stuff, and just a little bit about that. Take a few minutes and talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Brian Doucette. You can find me on all the socials under Brian Doucette Music, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, anything you can stream music on, you'll find me, including my YouTube page, which has about 7 or 8 fully produced music videos on there. So probably my most exciting thing I have coming up, I'm doing a tour of British Columbia.
Nice.
And I've got 8 shows in a 12-day span coming up. That's at the end of June. And you never know where you're going to find me. I played in Nashville. I played in Hollywood, Las Vegas, Austin, Texas, Alacross. Just a couple of years ago, he's going to kill me for saying this because he's just such a modest, amazingly coolest dude you'll ever meet. But his name is John Hines. I personally think he might be the best blues guitar player in Canada.
Wow, nice.
He's going to hate me for saying that, though, but that's just part of what makes him an awesome dude. It was only a couple of years ago we did a cross-country tour, and we started in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is on the east coast of Canada, and we did 9 shows in 11 days, I believe it was. And it was basically, we did every major city between Halifax and Edmonton, and we've got some stuff brewing too, actually. But
that's cool.
But yeah, no, I played all across Canada. I played, and I'm looking at coming back to the United States. I haven't been to the States since it was February, but I love you Americans, man. You guys are awesome. You are the basis of most of my songwriting, actually. So
I like it.
So look at making a trip south of the border again real soon here. And
hey, if you do, let us know, man. I'll promote it and stuff, sure. And hopefully you come close enough. I can maybe take a little road trip and come check you out live. It'd be kind of fun.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
And I will, when the episode comes out, I'll put links to all your stuff also, any videos you want or any of your sites, any of your socials. I'll put links to everything. But Matt, seriously, awesome. This has been fun. I'm glad we did this. I know it kind of started as kind of a joke, but I'm glad we did it. It's been so much fun. And yeah, hopefully meet in person someday, and the two Brians can hang out and confuse people.
Yes, absolutely. We'll have to resort to nicknames, though. I mean, we can't.
A lot of my friends call me Deuce. So.
Oh, well, we might be related. I've been getting called Deuce since I had teachers in high school that used to call me Deuce.
Nice. That's actually
so. We'll have to delve a little farther into the nickname.
We'll work on some, so it'll be good.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. No, seriously, man, this has been so much fun. I've truly enjoyed getting to know you, and I think the listeners might get a kick out of this one. It'll be good.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Brian. I love being on your show, and your show is incredible, and man, keep doing what you're doing, man. Yeah, this is deadly.
Thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist. We hope you will join us every week for a brand new episode with a different martial artist telling their story. If you enjoy the show, be sure to leave us a review. Also, be sure to check out our website at everydaymartialartist.com. There you can find all of our episodes and contact us to suggest guests and ask questions. Again, thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist, and we'll see you next week.